all of a sudden you got all this cash coming in, you got all these stock options coming in. It was the first thing I did. Very first two things I did. I bought a king-size, California king-size bed, because I was like, I just want the biggest bed ever. And the second thing I did was I went and bought this 350Z, brand new. I was one of the first people to ever get it in the country. Because I was like, I think that'll make me happy. Because I thought, okay, now I'll drive around the Z, people look at, all the homies look at me like, you made it, man. And it didn't make me happy at all. Then the next thing I was like, okay, you know what? It'll be when I buy the house. Let me buy that $1 million house. I think when I buy a $1 million house, I'll be happy then. Shit, it didn't come then either. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is in spite of fear. Happiness is not the absence of a struggle. It's in spite of the struggle. Peace is not the absence of chaos. It's a choice inside of it. You know? So sometimes with like happiness, people are like, I did that too. I was like, when I get there. When I get there. So I bought this car and it was right out, you know, so you graduate college. I was a computer electrical engineer, Silicon Valley. Boom. All of a sudden, you got all this cash coming in, you got all these stock options coming in. It was the first thing I did. Very first two things I did. I bought a king-size, California king-size bed, because I was like, I just want the biggest bed ever. And the second thing I did was I went and bought this 350Z, brand new. I was one of the first people to ever get it in the country. Because I was like, I think that'll make me happy. Because I thought, okay, now I'll drive around the Z, people look at, all the homies look at me like, you made it, man. And it didn't make me happy at all. Then the next thing I was like, okay, you know what? It'll be when I buy the house. Let me buy that $1 million house. I think when I buy a $1 million house, I'll be happy then. Shit, it didn't come then either. And I was like, okay, I need to get another promotion. I need to keep going up. I got to get out of the engineering and get into business development. Maybe then. So the thing is, the trap is of status and significance and importance. But we learned it somewhere. Because it was whispered in my ear all the time. It's what I saw. To me, success as a man was taking care of my family, which is very important. But to me, that was the only thing. So I thought, if I'm doing that, I thought I was being a great man and being a great husband. Definitely not listening to my wife. Right, at all. It's clueless, too. That's the hypnotic rhythm. We get stuck in this hypnotic rhythm, and we don't even know why we're doing the shit we're doing. That's, you know, we say in martial arts, we say the worst kind of fight you can be in is one you don't know you're in. Right? There's self-defense instructors in the room. You all know that, right? It's like, come on, man. But most of our life is that. That's why I said that quote that most of us, our lives, our passions are someone else's quotations. Our lives become a mimicry. Our thoughts are not our own. So when you ask somebody, do you make your own choices? They say, yes, I do. And I'm like, probably you don't. Consciously. Consciously. Because let's say you have a reaction, right? Say you had a reaction come up. This is a reaction. And you just did the reaction. Let's say instead you're like, oh, there's this gut feeling to have this reaction. I've done it many times before. But you take a pause and say, is it really necessary though at this time? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But giving yourself that moment to choose makes it conscious. So I'll give you guys a filter. Just never do anything that's not necessary, true, or kind. That's not necessary, that's not true, and that's not kind. You will save a lot of life force, a lot of headaches. And that's the first thing that's not necessary to do is what? React. But here's an interesting thing with necessary, true, and kind. Sometimes it might be necessary to say something to somebody. It might be true, but it's not kind to say that to them in that timing. See what I'm saying? Sometimes it's you think you're being kind to somebody, you think I'm sharing you the truth. Hey, you know, I need you to see this because I think it'll help your life. But it wasn't necessary because you weren't ready to receive it. And then you know what ends up happening is you take on the karma by exposing them to something when they're not ready to hear it. Because when they are, and then they come looking for it, they're like, shit, this doesn't work. That's your fault then. Cause and effect.